Hey, it's Owen. Just wanted to pop in before the show started to let you know that we've got some amazing new artwork done by friend of the show, James Glack. He's done artwork for us before and just wanted to give him a shout out because it's amazing just as usual. If you want to show him some support, we'll link his Instagram page below and go check out his work because it's pretty great. Thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoy the show.
Yo, welcome to Movie Addicts. I'm your host Ilya with Owen.
Hey there.
Hey Owen, how are you?
Pretty good.
At the time we're recording this, we recorded episode 8 before 7, and on the day of episode 8, it was actually the 72nd anniversary of Scientology. And
yeah, so
I didn't realize this until that day, which Owen did text me the day before. I was like, oh god, no, we could have did an episode. So we're just doing that today.
Yeah, so we watched a Scientology documentary.
It's called My Scientology Movie.
Yeah, so do you want to give a bit of a summary of what the movie's about?
Okay, just a summary. It's basically a BBC reporter trying to piece together like what Scientology is by going around interviewing like ex Scientology members because he can't get a hold of anybody in the Scientology like religion. I say religion. It's really a cult, but we're gonna call it a religion.
Yeah, so it's a pretty interesting documentary. It's not a traditional documentary either. It's more so him with his camera crew just going around recording what happens, because it's not just like they're going around interviewing people, like they actually have run-ins with people trying to stop them from what they're doing.
Oh, and those scenes were epic.
They're unironically just epic.
Oh, they so some of the greatest moments I've seen, like, because we've all seen like some like YouTube videos of like some like the Christian arguing with like a Jew or something, and those arguments are like, oh, your God is not real. Oh, well, your God is not real. Well, in this case, it's a Scientologist trying to stop this BBC reporter from making a documentary about Scientology.
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to say. I think it was entertaining, but as a documentary, I really don't think it was that great.
Yeah, as documentary standpoint, it wasn't a documentary. It wasn't even close to being like a good documentary, but entertaining wise, it was very entertaining to watch.
So, I guess we'll start off at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
So it starts off with like comments on Twitter, right? It's like, yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, like he sends out a tweet like, I'm gonna make a movie about #Scientology. What do you think I should, or something like that?
Yeah.
And it was kind of weird. The movie does this a few times throughout the movie where it like goes to like something happening on the internet, and it's just like this blue hazy background, and then the things come up on there. And I mean, it looks kind of neat, but it's kind of dumb.
Yeah.
And then we get into the actual movie. So it's like the BBC reporter, and he's how many different people does he speak to? 3 ex-Scientologists?
I think it was 4.
Yeah.
I don't know. He spoke to he spoke with one of like the top guys in it. He spoke with some like guy that was helping him make like some like movies or something. Then there was another guy, and I think that was it. Yeah, so 3.
Yeah. I guess also if anyone listening doesn't even know what Scientology is, I also wasn't too sure. Even after watching this documentary, you sort of need to know what they are before going in, because this doesn't really go in depth explaining what Scientology is. Like yeah, it's a quote unquote religion, but they don't. So I watched this other documentary. It is called, there we go. It's called Going Clear: Scientology in the Prison of Belief. So that documentary, it's more of a traditional documentary, and it's about the founding of Scientology and the history of it. So it was founded by this guy, L. Ron Hubbard, in the 1950s. He was a science fiction writer, and he wrote this book. It started with a D, and I don't remember what the name is, but it's like the Scientology Bible. and then he wrote another book, and that's when he actually invented the religion of Scientology, which it's like about, I don't even know how to describe it.
Yeah. So Scientology is just one of those things where like most people don't know about it, but the only thing they can pinpoint is there's money involved. There's money involved, and then there's Tom Cruise and John Travolta.
Yeah, yeah. There is so much money involved. I was this other documentary. It's talking about how the only reason they were able to stay around is because they didn't have to pay taxes, and they had this huge in like the 90s or 80s. There was this huge thing going around. Is it the IRC in the United States? Is
The
that what it's
IRS.
called? Yeah, IRS. And there was this huge thing with IRS because the IRS wasn't going to let them get away with not paying taxes. So they filed millions of complaints to the IRS, and they said, we'll take back these complaints if you let us stop paying taxes. So they took it away. So that's how they've been able to keep all their money. This is the other documentary. The one that we watched, my Scientology movie, it's a lot lower scale.
It's more about the things that the events that kind of happened that were kind of significant, not the like in background information, just some of the bizarre things that happen, like the whole or other such like weird occurrences that happened.
And it's more recent stuff, so they talk a lot about the current leader, something Miscavige. I don't remember what his first name is.
David Miscavige?
David Miscavige, yeah. So they talk more about him, and because no one knows a whole lot about him, so the main reoccurring thing is throughout the whole movie they're trying to cast people to create a reenactment of like this Scientology boot camp called The Hole.
Yeah.
So they're trying to recreate a scene from that. So the movie at the beginning, after he interviews the first guy, they go to a casting bit to try to cast a person to play David Miscavige.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't ever really explain, or at least I didn't notice, they didn't really explain why they were doing it. So I was so confused.
They probably just forgot to edit it in.
Yeah,
because like there was so much editing, like, oh yeah, we're gonna make the text have like a little bit of a blue back shadow, making it look like a text writer, but it's on the internet. We're gonna do all this stuff. Oh wait, we forgot to put in the part though we're explaining what we're doing in the final product. Whatever, they'll figure it out.
I breaking back to the text, I thought that text was so stupid.
Yeah.
The sound it would make, that sound hurt my ears whenever it came on.
I the first time I saw it, I was like, "What's going on? Is like something wrong with Netflix? Did I break it?" And then I go back and look at it, and I was like, "Oh wait, it's just their style of editing. Oh, look at that."
Yeah, but back to the casting thing, it made no sense because they cast David Miscavige and they cast a guy for Tom Cruise, and like, I was so lost. I'm like, why are they doing this? Because there's the scene where they're doing the casting. And the guy's like, yeah, get in my face. Yeah, push him. Yeah, call me a cocksucker. And they're just doing all this stuff. I'm like, what? What's happening?
Oh, that was funny. Yeah, call me cocksucker.
And so that was weird. What did you think of the guy actually making the documentary? The main guy?
He was good. I think his personality just absolutely fit this movie because he's a little lost in America. Like, he doesn't know American culture. And then when it comes to those scenes where he's encountering these people, he's trying to encounter them in like a British way. But that's not going to work in America because these people are just going to keep repeating the same thing over again. And he's going to try to keep repeating the same thing over again, but they're not like getting anywhere. And it's just really funny to watch.
Mm-hmm. I honestly hated him. I thought he was so bland and so boring. Like, he had no personality, and he was constantly overreacting. Like, right away at the very beginning, when they're like in the hotel and some lady comes in knocking on their door, and he's like, is she a Scientology spy? And then there's this point where they're driving and there's a white truck behind them for like a minute. He's like, I think we're being followed. This white truck looks suspicious. The windows are tinted.
No, but he said that they were following him for like half an hour.
Still though, I think he overreacted a lot.
Yeah. I mean, he's a BBC reporter. What do you expect?
Yeah, yeah. I think one of my favorite scenes from the movie is, so I didn't know that it was actually a BBC thing. Like, I knew he was British, but I didn't know it was BBC. So there's this one scene where this Scientology lady's confronting him, and
Oh
she's
yeah.
calling the police, and she's like, "Yeah, there's this British." She didn't say it was a British guy. She's like, "There's this BBC guy, and that's all I know about him. He's BBC." And I was like,
Like
I
was
can
it?
guarantee she just said BBC because he had a British accent, like nothing else. There was a
Yeah.
British accent and a camera. Therefore, he is BBC.
Yeah, and then she's like, "Oh yeah, I don't know his name." And the reporter said, "Oh yeah, it's what was it, Lewis or something?"
Lewis, yeah.
Yeah, it's Lewis. Oh, Lewis. That's who it is.
Um,
Then is later on in that scene, he pulls out his phone and starts recording the cameraman. Are you a part of the Sea Org? Are you a part of this documentary? I couldn't stop laughing at that. That was just
there were so many. I honestly felt bad for the cameraman because it's the same cameraman whenever the Scientologist hunt him down, and he's just standing there. He's like, yeah, these guys hired me to film the documentary.
and it's with different people all the time, and he's just there. He's smiling. He's like, "Yeah, hey."
Yeah.
That was great.
But like, it's because like at first I was like right at the very beginning when he was like, "Is she a Scientology spy?" I was like, "He's crazy. They're not going to send anyone after him." But they did. Like they
Yeah.
genuinely sent people after him with cameras, and I didn't think that would happen, but like it did.
Yeah, I'm telling you, this isn't a religion. It's a
Yeah.
cult.
There's the one scene. So after they did the casting for David Miscavige, they got a letter. Like the producers got sent a letter from Scientology saying that they didn't approve of what they were doing or something.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is again, I think the main guy jumped to conclusion. He was like, "This means I think there was someone on the inside there during the casting." But like,
Yeah.
I don't know if he was exaggerating or if there was, but still, like,
And then there was this where he tries to like deliver another a letter back to the Scientology,
Yeah.
and then the security guard is just freaking out because he's trying to deliver a letter.
yeah. So there's this center by the highway that I think, what do? They visit it 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, it's like it's like a film thing there
Yeah.
where they can create promotional videos for Scientology.
Yeah. So it's like the Scientology film studio. And they visit there, I think, the first time, and they're on the highway, and they're like, "Okay, well, there's this another public road we can go down, and we can actually get a better view." So they go by, and there's like this wire fence and the fog lights, and then this woman in a car comes out, and then there's a there's a guy with like a little camcorder, and she's like, "Get off the road. It's a private road." And then
But
they
it
call the
wasn't a
police, and there's this whole interaction, and then they go back again later on, and it's night, and the same people come back and they're like, "No, it's a private road." And there's this whole back and forth where the director's like, "No, I've got a permit," and then the person's like, "No, it's a private road." And it's like, "Yeah, but I got a permit." And they go back and forth for like 5 minutes.
No. Look here. No, it's a private road. You have to get out of here.
And he's like, got his phone, and he's like, "No, just read the permit, just read it."
Don't just read it. And then she gets into the car.
And I love how after arguing with her, he just immediately goes to being funny. He's like, "Oh, do you want to interview?" Like he's.
Can you tell me your name?
I thought those were the best scenes whenever they were encountering people.
Yeah.
Like, because there are a lot of recreation scenes in this movie. So there's the one guy from Scientology who is super high up. And they do like these recreations of this tests with like a part of a lie detector where you like hold these 2 bands.
Oh yeah.
And there's like a current going through them and it moves this dial. They don't explain it too in depth, but in the other documentary I was talking about, they explain exactly how it works and what it does. And it's like bringing back memories from your past lives so you can make peace with them.
It looks like something like a kid created. Oh, this is a lie detector test, dude. This looks like a dial for a clock. No,
but
it's
there's what 1 or 2 scenes of them doing that. Then there's this other scene where they just get a whole bunch of people and then they're sitting like face to face and they're just like, insult each other. or like try to make the other person get a reaction, and I didn't understand why they were doing it. Like maybe the director was trying to get the Scientology experience.
Your boyfriend's having sex in the other room right now. Yeah, yeah.
Your wife, she doesn't even like you. She's cheating on you. It's with your neighbor, your friend.
All right. I don't know what to do. He's not breaking. Okay, here. Let me come here. All right, ready? Go. Ah!
And then the director's like, "No, can we not do that? Can we not do that? Don't jump at me." And he just
No. You have to get by this now. All right, ready? Go. Ah! And he keeps flinching at it.
But like, they didn't explain why they were doing that. Like, I never understood why. And there's this bit where they're in a film studio and they've got the David Miscavige guy, like the actor, reenacting, like reading a letter, and I didn't know why.
Yeah, there were some scenes that I didn't understand. Well, at the beginning of the like some of the like skits, they like briefly explain, but they don't go into like detail.
Yeah. Like, it's unlike I've seen a lot of documentaries, and this is unlike a lot of documentaries, because like I've seen the ones that are like formal, like you sit down the person, you talk to them, then you got the footage over, and then I've seen other ones that are more like this, where it's just a guy with a camera going around filming stuff. Yeah. But I've never seen one that sort of mixes the two. Like, yeah, you've got the talking and the creation of the film, but then you've just got these weird reenactments. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know why they were doing the reenactments. Even still, like, after they explained, because the climax is the reenactment of the whole, when the David Miscavige guy just loses it and, like, trashes the room.
Yeah.
But, like, why'd they do that? I don't know if it was explained.
I think I was trying to get like a better understanding of like what the environment was in these kind of reenactments.
I guess.
I think it was originally supposed to be like a movie, because they have these sets and they were recording it like 100%. But then I think they just kind of like left it out and said, oh yeah, we're gonna. Yeah, but this part, like where we follow the people around and how the Scientology guys are trying to stop us, that's more interesting than what we're actually trying to do.
Yeah.
I think they just kind of got lost, but I don't know. I thought it was very interesting, and like
it was interesting. Yeah,
it just didn't really work out.
Yeah, it didn't seem like it really had a direction.
Mm-hmm.
Like they didn't have a clear like, this is what we want to do with our movie.
And there was a scene at the end, or like the top Scientology guy, because like the BBC reporter like okay, I'm gonna take it from the beginning because it kind of goes like all over the place in this scene. So the top guy was getting quote unquote squirrel busting. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But he was getting squirrel busted by these guys, and they like brought his child into it. Like with like, oh yeah, are these guys paying? Are you paying enough for your foster care? And then the guys eventually left, and he's like, dude, they just brought my child into this. And then the BBC reporter is like questioning him and saying, yeah, but wouldn't you do these tactics since you were? And then there was this great scene where the
I forgot.
It was like, you know what? You should go fuck yourself, man. Really, just fuck yourself. And then the BBC reporter was like, yeah, I consider myself fucked. I don't know what to say.
He's like, all right. Okay, here, I'll consider myself fucked. Okay, what do we do now?
Yeah. It's like they brought him from like a different planet.
Yeah, because it seems like that. Like, you're like, has this guy ever talked with another human before? Like, he just seems so...
Dude, they brought up his fucking child. You don't go and question him whether he would have done it.
Yeah.
Dude,
because the guy from Scientology, he clearly has some problems. Yeah. So when he's doing stuff like this, like, that's just so, like, he's like, yeah, I can't believe they brought my child. He's like, well, you did the exact same thing. And he just loses it.
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, I say, well, first thing you should do, you should apologize. He's like, yeah, okay, let's move on. No, I need a minute to cool down after this.
And then there's also this scene, so they drop him off at the airport, and immediately after he gets to the airport, a crowd of people from Scientology show up, and they just start throwing insults at him. Like, I can't remember what they
Yeah.
said to him, but they're just like, yeah, you're worthless, you're a piece of trash, why are you even doing this?
Yeah.
And there's just this crowd of them, and he's got his camera right in their faces, and they
Yeah.
just keep going at him.
And then and then they were like, and he was like, oh yeah, it went viral. Yeah, it got 600,000 views. That and you consider that viral? You
I laughed
consider
at that so much.
Yeah, that's viral. Like viral would be over 1 million.
Yeah, because it was like, he said it so dramatic, like, it went viral. And then 600,000 views. Like, that's...
Oh, yeah.
It's a lot... It's more views than I've ever got on anything I've ever made, but that is not viral. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh, it went viral. It got 3 views.
We got 10 views, guys. Viral.
Oh my guys, we are going to take over PewDiePie.
But like, again, that's another scene where it did that thing where it like shows the comments going through, and I was like, this seems something like it was made by like a 40-year-old guy who doesn't use the internet at all. Like, that's what it seemed like it was, because that's what it was. Like,
yeah. Back to what I was kind of saying before about the squirrel busting. Like, in case you didn't know, I don't know if it explained it in the other documentary, but in this documentary, there's something called squirrel busting, where these Scientology members would go and kind of stalk and like kind of in a more or less harass ex-Scientology members. For instance, like the top guy or the other people that they were mentoring, they recorded videos on their phone of these people wearing like shirts with like that has like a squirrel and like the person's face on it, and they would just harass them saying like, hey squirrel, how you doing today, and other stuff like that. There was also the scene where the guy was just spraying water at them, and the member was like, don't do that. yeah, don't do that. And you're sitting here harassing him. Oh, that's brilliant.
I was amazed at how crazy some of the people were, though. Like,
yeah, they had razor wire. Remember, around that thing, razor wire, dude. They have barbed wire at what's it called, like prisons. They don't have razor wire. This place does. It
was always funny because like, whenever you get a documentary like this, it's always good to present it from a neutral standpoint. Like, you're not trying out to make Scientology look bad, but you're not trying to make it look good. And like, I was always thinking like, why is there always bad press? Like, you don't hear anything good about them. Cause like,
I mean, what is there good to talk about it then? Anyways?
Exactly. That's the thing. Cause like, you get the only things you hear, 2 things about Scientology. You hear the leaders say it's great, and then you hear the people who are in it say, no, it was awful. It was literally a cult. Like,
yeah.
And those are the only 2 things.
Yeah, they didn't go from a neutral standpoint. They went right away and just started to bash them.
Yeah. And I mean, like,
they
who
deserve
could blame
to be
them,
bashed? Really? Like, yeah, I mean, like some of the testimonies that the people were saying, like they would be abused, they would be like hit and stuff. It's like crazy. And then the church would say, oh yeah, these are false and they're just trying to wreck our culture and stuff. Dude, if more than one person is coming out saying this, then it's kind of like what was that comedian's name that just got like that just went to like 30 years for sexually assaulting someone. I forget his name. I'll probably remember later in the video, and I'm gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna shout his name out. Yeah.
And I mean, like, it even gets worse with the other the other documentary I watched, because there's more people, and these were like people who were in Scientology for like 20 years, like a long time. Because I mean, there was only one person who he talked to in the documentary that was in it for over 5 years. But this other one, it talks to people who were in Scientology, like even when L. Ron Hubbard was still alive and running it. And it's the exact same thing. It's it's very sketchy, and it's literally a business to make money. Like, they talk about how they have like a Scientology bank, and they just talk you into donating. Like, the one guy was talking about the time how he was manipulated into donating $200,000 to the Scientology bank.
Yep. Well, I mean, think about it. Like, I remember in in the My Scientology movie, they went through and said that, oh yeah, look at, they were talking about Tom Cruise. They were saying that, oh
Yeah,
yeah, he's almost at the top, and to get these lessons, it's millions. It's like to like level up, you have to pay money, and like near the
yeah,
top, it's like millions of dollars,
hmm
and not
yeah.
just
Like,
like maybe like 1 million or like 900,000. No, it's like 5 million. It's like,
yeah.
jeez, man.
Well, they talk a bit about it in My Scientology movie. How like they've got this chart and there's lessons to get up, and you have to
Yeah.
pay money to get these lessons to advance to new levels of Scientology, and
Hmm.
it's really weird. Like,
Oh, and I think we should try to get sponsors and like go through these lessons of Scientology.
yes, yeah, we should so do
that
that.
that and then we'll beat Tom Cruise to it. He's almost. I'm pretty sure he's at the top now, but if he's not at the top, we're
Yeah,
gonna beat him.
well, Tom Cruise will be the next leader of Scientology.
Oh, 100%.
There was this little bit in the other documentary I was watching, and there's this segment on Tom Cruise and just how so they had John Travolta,
Hmm.
but John Travolta's nowhere near as big as he used to be. So they had John Travolta as like the poster boy, and then they had Tom Cruise, and Tom Cruise is like best buddies with the guy who runs it now,
David something.
David Miscavige.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it's Tom Cruise's best bud with David Miscavige, and I think was it they show it in My Scientology movie. There's this big
Yeah.
speech he gave, and he invites Tom Cruise up on stage, and he gives him like a medal or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. The last thing I had to talk about was the very very end of the movie when there's
Hmm.
like how all documentaries usually end. They have the text over it, and the very final thing it ends with was, "It was a public road."
Yeah. Oh boy, that was funny. It was a public road. Like, no, guys, don't worry about anything else that happened. Don't worry about like the tons of members that get like abused and everything. It was a public road.
That's that. That was probably the point of the documentary. He wanted to
Yeah,
prove it was a public road.
yeah. He wanted to prove because like somebody went on. Oh, it's a private road. So somebody contacted the BBC and said, "Hey, is this a public road or is it a private road for Scientology?" And and this guy was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna pretend it's like I'm making like a documentary about. No, I'm just here to figure out if it's a road, if it's a public road, or it's a private road.
My Public Road movie. That's what it's
My
called.
my public road movie."
I think I'm gonna my letterbox review currently it just says it was a public road, but I think I might just change it to say My Public Road movie.
Yes. Oh yeah, that's just. Oh, I mean, there's so much to talk about it, but it's nothing that like, oh yeah, it's like serious. Like there was just there's just these bits that it's just it's between the press and the Scientology group, and that's kind of the main purpose of this. Like, I don't want to call it a documentary anymore. I think it's a vlog. I'm gonna call it a
It's a
vlog. It's a
vlog.
vlog. Hi guys, welcome to the vlog. We're trying to figure out if this is a public road or not.
Welcome to BBC Vlogs.
Today we're trying to figure out what is behind the secrets of Scientology.
So, what would you give it out of 10? Not out of 10, out of 5.
Out of 5, on Letterboxd I give it a 4 out of 5, mainly because I enjoyed it. Like, but documentary wise, I think I should have. I think I'm gonna edit my Letterboxd review. I'm gonna say like, documentary wise, it's like a 2.5 out of 5. But like entertainment wise, if you want to have a good time watching this movie, then it'll and this is the movie for you. So I would say it's a 4 out of 5, not a 5 out of 5, 4 out of 5,
Yeah.
100%.
I gave it a 3 out of 5, which I think is fair. It's nothing I'd ever watch again. If I was going to recommend one of the two, I'd recommend the other Scientology documentary just because it's more actually explaining what it is. It's longer
Mm-hmm.
too. My Scientology movie is only like 83 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
It's pretty short. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you want to learn about more about Scientology, go watch like the long documentary. I forget what it's called though, and you can.
Yeah, it's doesn't matter. I said it at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you want to actually have a good time and laugh at Scientology, then I would definitely recommend My Scientology movie.
Yeah. When that one's also on Netflix. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah. yeah, so that about closes it, unless you have anything else to say.
Nope, I've got nothing else to say.
All right, if you guys like this podcast, please consider subscribing, liking the video, sharing it with all your friends, because we need support. We need to take over the Scientology world.
Let's
Yeah,
take over the world.
yeah, we need to take over the universe. Simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you, yeah, please give our Instagram pages a like, follow. Please, they're in the description. Our letterboxes are also in the description. Thanks for watching. Peace.
Bye.
Be.